Right guys, hope you're all doing well and hopefully you're all keeping safe. Without getting too soppy, our reality, our world is becoming more and more dystopian by the day. Now I live in, frankly, quite a quiet area, and yet just last week a group of young people assaulted a resident for no reason at all except just to have a laugh. I presume I don't actually know the reason for it. Now all I want to say is you guys need to look after yourselves and look after your family. That's really, really important, and I hope you guys do. Now anyway, today I wanted to focus on the changes coming with the Summit revealed on Wednesday's State of the Game. You know, are they good? Are they bad? Will it encourage me to actually play it again? I just want to give you my initial impressions, really. Talk about the stuff that I'm happy with, the stuff that I'm concerned about. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like down below. It does help me out. Really would appreciate that. With that said, let's begin. So on State of the Game on Wednesday, the devs revealed yet more additions and changes that are coming to the Summit with TU12 in a bid to address some of the feedback from the community over the last kind of couple of weeks, couple of months really. Now I've made various videos about what changes I think the Summit needs, and I've seen plenty of other posts on forums about changes needed as well. And the main topics that keep coming up that I've been able to see are, one, we want a reason to actually go into the Summit. Number two, it needs to feel as rewarding, if not more rewarding, than other content in the game. Number three, it needs a makeover. Number four, it needs way more variety. Number five, it needs to feel like you're climbing a skyscraper. And number six, I don't think people are happy with having to reset back to level 1 when they complete the Summit. So maybe some news on what they might try and do to fix that. Now with these points in mind then, and just to be clear, I realise this doesn't capture every piece of feedback out there from everyone, but these for me appear to be the biggest and most broad pieces of feedback about this mode from my research. It's also worth noting that I don't, and you guys may feel different here to me, but I don't expect them to address everything with TU12, so yeah. That's my position. Now, if you guys want my kind of quick kind of finishing paragraph on everything, I insert a time for you to skip to that if you want to, but I'd hope you watch the whole thing so I can explain how I got there. So what are the devs doing with TU12? Well, this is what they said on the State of the Game.
Yes, so for the these are Summit challenges, and so this is an additional thing that you can do while you're climbing the Summit. And so it's the tactical ones are short-term goals, and the ascents are long-term goals. Here are the rewards for the Summit challenges. And so you can see you'll always get XP for completing one of them. You'll get targeted loot items on an interval, the Summit challenge caches with the optimization and recal materials. And then there are the milestone rewards, the commendations. And so you'll see here we have a variety of commendations, multiple for some of the categories. Each time that you unlock a new checkpoint, so when you finish like floor 3, floor 6, floor 9, floor 10, you get this like floor cleared message where you normally just get XP. But on these specific floors, you'll also get a targeted loot item. We have a new objective type and a couple variants of that.
Alright, so there's quite a lot here to digest really. Some of it expected, some of it not expected for me. Now to address point 1 of earlier, being a reason to go into the Summit, I think the devs have really kind of focused on this point with TU12. Adding challenges is fine, but the commendations for me and also the milestone rewards are going to be the real driving force here, especially as they give you those rewards, commendations giving you vanity rewards. This was unexpected. I did think that commendations might come at some point in the future, but I didn't think they would come this soon. Now we are yet to see just how many there are, and the variety and the time you're going to need to complete those commendations. All those we know about the milestone rewards, which is fine, but specifically talking about the commendations here. But I know this was something that was requested by the community, so this is really good. Of course, this isn't going to be for everyone. I know that. I rarely have interacted with commendations in this game or even in the first game in the Division. It's just not my cup of tea, but this will be great news for those people who do, and I do think this is a great addition to the Summit. Now for point 2, I talked about the Summit feeling rewarding, or unrewarding as it is at the moment. I said it needs to be as rewarding, if not more rewarding, than other content in the game. Now I've previously done a whole video, I've probably done numerous videos talking about how control points, for example, the activity I interact with the most in the game, this activity just offers way more for the time invested. So how are the devs addressing this with TU12? Well, they talked about an addition whereby every 3 levels or every checkpoint you are granted a piece of targeted loot along with the XP. Now, I thought the devs were going to take the lack of loot drops from NPCs in the Summit more seriously than this, if I'm being honest. If I find any activity in the world, which, takes less than a minute, and I interact with that activity, I'm almost guaranteed drops, and I'm almost guaranteed a targeted loot drop. But here in the Summit, you're only guaranteed that every 3 levels. I'm questioning this because the main source of feedback I've seen is that NPCs just simply don't drop loot in the Summit. And from my own experience of going in the Summit, which I'll be honest guys, I've been in the Summit for a while, but from my experience of playing through the Summit all the way through, I've had times where I could go 3, 4, 5 levels without getting any loot drops whatsoever. I think I remember saying in my last video that I could do a control point in 6 minutes on Heroic, sometimes quicker, and get at least 10 to 15 drops. And a huge portion of those drops would be targeted loot. Now, when you compare that to the Summit drops, the Summit it's just laughable. I might be lucky to get 3 drops in the Summit for the same time investment, except now, with these changes coming, I might be lucky enough to get 4. And that's only if I complete those 3 levels in those 6 minutes. And if you're playing on something like Legendary Solo, for example, I can imagine that not being too easy. Now, if they guaranteed a piece of targeted loot every floor completion, that would be a lot more acceptable. But even then, I'd go as far as giving at least 2 pieces of targeted loot per level if the devs intend to make no changes to NPC drops in the Summit. And this is the only way this mode is going to compete with other activities in terms of loot rewards versus time invested. So they have to get this right. Now, initially, people are going to farm the Summit when TU12 comes out and interact with the challenges and the milestone rewards, because they will need to if they want to get the new exotic coming with TU12, which is actually tied to the challenges. Also, you will want to farm for the new currency in order to optimize your build as well. So people are going to be going in there for that. I know I'll be going in there for that. But once that's done, the loot drop chance is so low that players who are not invested in the commendations, like myself, are just going to stop farming there and go back to other activities which are more rewarding, like control points. And this is the issue if they don't actually address the NPC drops. And I've only talked about loot here. There's been no changes that I've been able to see made to experience. So the Summit XP is still going to be hilariously low compared to other stuff in the game. What I will say before moving on is, with the introduction of milestone rewards, these appear to be really great. These grant you the opportunity to get guaranteed caches like named exotics and guaranteed blueprints as well once you reach those milestones. And also, as we know, there's going to be the exotic on there and stuff. So this could be one very good reason to go into the Summit with TU12. But I fear it's not going to be enough if they don't make changes to the rate in which NPCs drop loot in the Summit. Now, for number 3, I talked about a makeover. Now, this has not been addressed with what we know so far, as you saw in the video, and I suspect this is the last thing on the devs' agenda, which is a shame, because actually, this for me is one of the main reasons I don't go into the Summit. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys, it's probably one of the last things on your list, but for me, this is literally right up there. They could give me everything I wanted to make it rewarding. They could give us everything we wanted to make it rewarding and address all the feedback. But if they don't make it look like a skyscraper with windows, which actually addresses point 5, then I'm probably not going to step forward or go back in there after I've got the new exotic, if I'm being honest. In fact, I might not even go in there. I still don't have ridgeways because I just can't go in there. I just dislike the area and the way it looks so much that I'd be forcing myself to go in there, and that's not how I play games. It's probably why I spend most of my time at control points, just because it looks, for the most part, beautiful because they're all outside. And it's a shame this won't be something we see for a long time, if ever. And yeah, this is one of my real big kind of reasons I don't go in there, guys. When revealing the new stuff with the Summit, we would have probably noticed the devs put an image up which said there will be new activities coming with TU12. But what they actually said was there will be one new activity with variations. This goes to addressing point 4 about more variety, but quite simply, there needs to be way more. If this is the case, then, and we're just getting kind of the one new activity with some variations, then it's a little bit underwhelming, I think. Now, I'm not sure how many activities are now in the Summit, but I'm sure it's less than, say, 20. Which means that even with these additions in TU12, you are most likely going to experience each activity 5 times if completing all 100 levels. That to me is just way too many times, and it kind of starts to feel really repetitive. So I do think the devs need to focus way more on adding more activities into the summit as well. Because like I said, otherwise it's still going to feel repetitive. So we do need a lot more there. But all in all, guys, I think some of these additions, you know, they're great. Commendations are something players wanted, and they are coming, which is good. Challenges are something to do, but milestone rewards are actually going to be really good, and they're probably going to give a lot of people a good reason to actually go into the summit and start farming it a little bit. Guaranteed caches for, you know, reaching those milestones. It gives you something to strive for, and with new weapons, gear, and other things coming with Season 4, there will be things you want to grind to get. More activities will always be welcome, but I'm concerned we are still going to be some ways off having enough in the summit for it not to feel repetitive. I still feel as though we're quite a way off that. My two biggest concerns still remain, however. Loot drop rates from NPCs and just the way the overall kind of summit looks. Loot quality is something that I also think might be worth looking into, but that's for a separate video, and that's not just pertaining to the summit, that's just loot quality in general, so that'll be for another video. But like I said, two major concerns: loot drops from NPCs and the drop rate, and just really the way it looks. If they can get those two sorted out, along with adding more activities, then I do think it could become a very, very good mode, a mode that I spend a lot of time in. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching all the way to the end. Really, really do appreciate it. Really, really goes a long way to helping out me and helping out the channel. And yeah, thanks very much. Hopefully you all have an excellent weekend. Like I said at the start of the video, make sure you look after yourself, make sure you look after your family, and you stay safe out there. But until the next video, guys, which will be next week, Epic out.